Well, good morning. Welcome to the Ag Market Network Weekly Market Update, brought to you by FiberMax and Stoneville Seed. Today's program, of course, does not have an export sales report because the government is still in shutdown, but we did think, well, let's talk about the markets and some general ideas about what's happened recently and what could happen. Let's first start off by saying that at this moment here, the cotton market and the soybean market and corn and wheat have all had good bounces over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. Market's hesitating a little now. We're still in the midst of negotiations on two fronts. One is within our government, the negotiations between the Trump administration or the Republicans and the Democrats to reopen the government. We can't get any information on export sales, which we think have been excellent in agricultural markets, in cotton and in grain and oilseed, because the government shut down. It can't be released, so we don't really have the availability of this news that we think is positive for the market. That's one negotiation. The other negotiation is with China. Yesterday we had completed a 3-day negotiation. It went 1 day longer than thought because things had gone well, and coming out of it, the comments were made where things went very, very well for two main areas, energy and agriculture. I don't have this for sure, but I think there's no problem with agreeing to substantial sales in agriculture. Evidently, it's not in energy either. Those seem to be the easy things, but the other things are harder, and that's what's got to be worked through. If we can get that worked through, then I think we'll be extremely happy with what will show up as far as new sales for ag products that China imports from us. Just take a look at cotton. Cotton bottomed a week and a half ago. It had gotten down to 70.65 in March cotton. Just overnight, we reached a high of 73.82. So let's just say close to 74 has been the resistance. Why did we bounce? Well, a couple of things. One is news of sort of behind-the-scenes news of what we think are very good exports have been taking place, good demand. As I mentioned, we can't see it unless these export sales are released. People know that there's good numbers, they just don't know how many. Also positive news on agriculture with regard to trade. Those are the things that have caused the market to bounce and to get over a 300-point rally in the cotton market. I guess the question is, can that continue? And the answer is probably not. Not without something new or different coming out about some settlement and getting the government back in business. It probably will stay confined within the range that we've seen here over the last 2 weeks. And we've just gotten to the higher end of it. I think there's good demand under the market because if there's good business taking place, there's buying, and mill buying should be reflected on good support at lower levels. Where those levels are could go back down to the lows, could go to 50 to 70. There's some very pessimistic people that think we're going to go down forever. We all know that's not going to happen. But so far it looks like there's, in the absence of some news coming out that's a shock, for instance, the Trump administration says we're through with China, we're not negotiating anymore. Something like that happening, that would drive it down to lower levels. But with the absence of that and continued negotiations on the trade front, we should find support on dips. What to expect now? Well, we all know the government is going to reopen. And when it does, we think that will be a positive for all these markets and we'll get a bounce. How much of a bounce? Possibly seeing cotton up into the higher 70s is possible as the government reopens and we start seeing some of these export sales. What about longer term? Well, get the government back open, get an actual agreement with China, and then this market could move up now probably up into the mid-80s. There was a time we thought low 90s, but that was before we dropped down here into the low 70s. So we've had to kind of readjust our thinking on that. Now let's go to soybeans, corn, and wheat. Same news there. Those markets are affected by trade talks with China. Those markets are affected by no news coming out of Washington because of the government shutdown. Same thing. We're going to look at old crop here. Old crop has rallied 50 cents in 2 weeks. How much more could it rally? Well, we think old crop can even push up into the high $9 level, $9.80 to even possibly $10 if the government reopens and we start moving toward a real trade agreement with China. Corn has rallied 12 cents over the last 2 weeks. We think that market is trading right now in old crop at $3.82 can reach $4. Old crop wheat rallied 23 cents over the last 2 weeks. And that market is right now at $5.18. Think that market can actually get up as high as $5.50 if we can come to an agreement. Everything settles down. We get back to normal, and we normalize relationships with China. We can still see that. So that's really it. There's nothing else to talk about because the markets just don't have anything else to talk about right now. But we did want to report on what's happened in recent weeks and what the possibilities are. We think that there is a strong effort to work through this work a trade agreement out with China. We think it's been there's a great interest on both sides. So we'll keep you posted on that. Have a good day. Thanks for being with us for this edition of the Ag Market Network Weekly Market Report, brought to you by Stoneville Seed and FiberMax. See you later.